Henry David Thoreau's essay Civil Disobedience, 1849, originally titled Resistance to Civil Government, articulates his argument against unjust government policies and actions, particularly focusing on slavery and the Mexican-American War. Thoreau opens by stating that, "The best government is that which governs least," and extends this to argue that ultimately, the best government is that which governs not at all. He advocates for minimal governmental interference in individuals' lives, emphasizing that when government becomes unjust, people should not follow its laws blindly. Thoreau's essay presents a radical view on the individual's moral duty to resist immoral government actions. Thoreau argues that individuals have a higher moral obligation to follow their conscience over the law. He believes that laws, as they are created by governments, do not always align with justice and morality. In particular, he criticizes the U.S. government for supporting slavery, asserting that people who obey unjust laws are complicit in the government's immoral actions. Thoreau calls for personal responsibility, insisting that individuals cannot wash their hands of moral responsibility by deferring to the law. If a law is unjust, he argues, the right course of action is to disobey it. Thoreau is critical of American democracy, suggesting that majority rule does not guarantee justice. He points out that the majority is often motivated by self-interest and may pass laws that oppress minorities or uphold immoral practices. Thoreau sees voting as an ineffective tool for social change, arguing that it merely represents the will of the majority, which may not reflect what is morally right. In his view, the government should serve as a tool for justice, but when it fails to do so, individuals must act independently of it. Thoreau's opposition to slavery and the Mexican-American War serves as the immediate backdrop for his essay. He denounces the government's complicity in slavery and criticizes the war as an unjust act of American imperialism. Thoreau argues that the war is being fought to expand slaveholding territories, and by paying taxes that fund the war effort, citizens are enabling an immoral cause. He urges individuals to refuse to support these injustices through acts of civil disobedience, including refusing to pay taxes. Thoreau's stance highlights his belief that individuals must break away from the passive acceptance of governmental actions that perpetuate injustice. A key element of Thoreau's philosophy is the power of nonviolent resistance. He advocates for peaceful, non-cooperation with unjust laws and government actions. Thoreau himself practiced this by refusing to pay his poll tax, a decision that led to his brief imprisonment. He saw this act of civil disobedience as a form of protest that could awaken others to the government's injustices. Thoreau's notion of nonviolent resistance would later influence leaders like Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr., who adopted his ideas in their own struggles for justice and equality. Thoreau emphasizes the importance of self-reliance and individual integrity throughout civil disobedience. He argues that individuals should not wait for collective action or approval from others when confronting injustice. Instead, they must act according to their own moral compass, even if they stand alone. Thoreau's philosophy is grounded in the belief that each person has the capacity for moral reasoning and should trust their conscience over the dictates of society or government. This individualism reflects his broader transcendentalist views, which value personal intuition and the spiritual connection between individuals and nature. Thoreau is also critical of materialism and conformity, which he believes weaken individuals' moral resolve. He observes that many people are too preoccupied with their wealth, status, and comfort to challenge the status quo or resist injustice. Thoreau views this attachment to material goods as a distraction from higher moral and spiritual duties. In contrast, he champions simplicity and living according to one's principles. By renouncing materialism and societal expectations, Thoreau believes individuals can achieve greater moral clarity and freedom to act justly. Thoreau's brief imprisonment for refusing to pay taxes is a pivotal moment in the essay, illustrating his belief in the power of personal protest. Far from being ashamed of his time in jail, Thoreau describes it as a liberating experience. He argues that prison is the proper place for those who resist injustice, as it demonstrates their moral integrity and their willingness to stand up for their beliefs. For Thoreau, imprisonment for a just cause is a badge of honor, and he suggests that more individuals should be willing to endure personal hardship in the name of justice. Thoreau expresses deep skepticism about the possibility of achieving real political change through government action alone. He argues that even well-intentioned reformers within the government are limited by the structure of the system, which is built on compromise and the preservation of power. Thoreau believes that true reform must come from individuals acting according to their own moral principles, rather than through the slow and often corrupt process of political reform. His essay advocates for direct action, suggesting that individuals can have a greater impact by refusing to cooperate with injustice than by trying to work within a flawed political system. Legacy of Civil Disobedience. Thoreau concludes that individuals must prioritize their conscience over legal and governmental structures, even if that means going against the majority or facing personal consequences. His ideas about civil disobedience, individual morality, and nonviolent resistance have had a profound impact on social and political movements worldwide. Leaders such as Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. drew heavily on Thoreau's philosophy in their own struggles for civil rights and independence. Civil disobedience remains a powerful statement on the moral duty to resist injustice and the role of the individual in effecting societal change. It challenges readers to consider their own responsibility in confronting the injustices of their time.